Okay, day after Christmas. We did fire this yesterday, my son and I, and it runs great, sounds healthy. So today Bill and I are gonna pull the trans, swap in the new converter, reattach the trans.
Yes.
And we got a little bit I need to take off the yoke on the drive shaft. Drive shaft is the correct length, but the yoke is just barely like ½ inch too long. Well, it's not even too long actually. It's all perfect. The thing is, you got to have the truck on the ground in order to get the drive shaft out so that the drive line articulates correctly, so you have the room to get it out. If we take that ½ inch off the end of the yoke that's in the transmission, first of all, I don't have to worry or think about it being too deep in the trans, and it's not, but
right.
In the event, you know, because look, when you put the truck on the ground, the drive shaft actually, quote, gets longer, right? It actually articulates up and pulls out of the trans. But when your rear suspension is extended, and this messed with us when we did it, but when it's extended, your drive shaft actually gets, quote, longer and goes deeper into the transmission. But even fully extended, it was not all the way into the trans. We were good.
Yep.
However, I don't want to be at sick week or on the side of the road or wherever and throw a U-joint and have to get under the truck, all on the ground and crawling around under this low truck just to get the drive shaft out. So if we take that ½ inch, gives us good peace of mind, number one, that we're not too deep in the trans, and number two, we can take it in and out with the suspension fully articulated or extended by putting the truck up on jack stands or whatever.
Zero issues.
Yeah, it's just the right way to do it. So we'll just take a little bit off the end and we'll be good. We've already removed 3 bolts from the bell housing. 3 of them are super easy. Well, 2 are super easy from the top. The 6-liter only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts. The trans has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that you could put. I think the 5.3 and the 4.8, I believe, have 7 bolts. 6-liter is only using 6. One of them had the dipstick tube attached to it, so I just pulled that out while we're here and pulled the dipstick tube out. So really all we have to do is take the drive shaft off, pull the cross member out. We'll support the trans with one of our high stands, our safety stands for the being up on the lift. We'll drain it.
Drain it?
Yeah, we'll drain it. And take the last 3 bolts out. I've got a trans, converter bolts obviously have to come off. We've got a trans jack, which we'll have ready up in the air. We should probably pull at least a couple plugs out so I can put a wrench on and turn it to get to the converter bolts. Just simple stuff. We're trying to prep as much as we can, but it's really not hard. It's just a bit of a pain because it's cumbersome. There's 2 of us here. This is why I'm not doing this by myself. If I did it by myself, I'd keep the truck about the height that it is. I have a little Harbor Freight floor jack cranker that you can put up underneath and shimmy it out, but it's way easier with 2 people. So we may even still do that. We may still put it on the ground once we start messing with pulling the trans off. We'll see how it goes. We're gonna stay flexible.
Yep.
In any case, let's get at it. Let's put the truck up in the air, drain it, pull the drive shaft off. We have a spare Turbo 400
Oh, I put
yoke.
it underneath already.
It's fine. It's all right. We've got a spare Turbo 400 yoke. Just so you know, the Turbo 400 output shaft is the same spline and size as is the 4L80E and probably the 60E. You can see someone did very similarly what we did. So this yoke actually came out of the blue truck where I had a Turbo 400. Now I've got an 80E in that as well. That was a BOP, Buick Olds Pontiac Turbo 400. So I couldn't use it without adapter plates and it just wasn't worth it. But someone clearly cut this off for the same reason, and then they like very crudely
Very crudely. Like probably grounded on the asphalt.
I think so. They tapered the end. So we'll do something similar, but it'll be a lot nicer
A
when
little
it's done.
fancier.
Also, I didn't reuse this, number one, for that reason, which we really could have, actually. We could have
Still
popped this
operational.
back in. It would have been totally fine. And in fact, it's probably the right length.
We would have
But-
made it look better anyhow.
Yeah, but the reason I didn't reuse this was because when I didn't put this on video, actually we did shoot a video, and I got so frustrated with that video, I didn't even bother posting it. There
That
was
was, U-joints?
way too much language in that video.
Is that the U-joint one?
Yeah. So what we learned, and I've seen, by the way, on a couple other YouTube channels, do not trust U-joints these days that you're buying from the parts store. They claim to be certain dimensions. They are never. Like, we 4 U-joints we checked?
Yep.
I was combining caps with U-joints, and all the tolerances were way out. Way out.
Yep. When these joints go in, there's only a certain amount of space in here, and you have to put your ring clips
You have
in.
like a 32nd of an inch,
So we
or
were pressing them
64th.
in, and
yeah,
all the U-joints were wider. We could get one clip in, couldn't get the other clip in.
it sucked.
And so we ended up swapping some U-joints, swapping some caps until we got the right dimension measurement-wise. And these were new U-joints from a couple different companies. So if you're having trouble, it might not be you. You might not be a bad mechanic, because we fought these things for a while.
We were like, what are we doing? The reason I had to do U-joints with my brand new drive shaft was because when I got the drive shaft, they put the wrong U-joint in one end. I told the guy what I had. Accidents happen. I wasn't all that upset. And rather than go back over there and have them press a new, that would have been stupid all the way to Tampa. When I just went to the parts store. In any case, this thing was a little bit boogered up, so we decided not to use it. We used the yoke that was, I guess, on this truck. I think we pressed it out.
It looked better than this one.
Yeah, but the reason, long story short, really long story short, the reason we want this is because it is sealed on the back, and when you pull the yoke out of the tail shaft of the transmission, whatever is residual fluid still in there, and we'll have that on an angle to get it out, will come out, and it will go down your arms, into your armpit, down into your underpants.
Exactly.
Onto your socks.
everything.
Yeah, so we have a spare. You could get plugs too, but these things work really good for keeping the fluid in. A little heavy, but it's fine.
Yep.
All right, let's put this thing up in the air and get at it. We have removed the positive battery cable for what it's worth. We're super close to driving this thing. We should be probably driving it today.
Could be.
We could put the rad in later, but the rad will have to come back out when I get the transmission lines to connect to the trans cooler.
Right.
Not a big deal. We could even pull the grill out and do it from the front of the grill. We got to rebuild these headlight buckets anyway, so we're pretty much taking a lot of stuff out anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll probably put the trans in because I'm impatient and I want to drive it.
He is.
So, yeah. So anyway, for now, let's get this thing up in the air and rock and roll. Ready?
Yep. Don't let me scare you. I'm going to turn this. I just want to see if we might not have
I'm
to
scared.
pull a plug. No, we're good.
I'm scared.
Don't be scared.
I guess we should probably just start by taking these bolts off, eh? Can we get enough over there?
Just trying to find a spot here. No, I think we'll probably have to pop a starter out.
Yeah, seems about right.
Because that's the only way to get to these.
It's a good opportunity. I replaced this cover when I first put the motor back together, so I think it'll be all right.
Yeah, I didn't see any visuals like oil slinging around anywhere. So
No.
dripping.
I also
Probably good.
did not change the oil filter when I put new oil in it.
Only had 5,000 miles.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
All right, let's see. Oh! This thing's gonna come down and smash me in the face, isn't it?
Yeah, you'll have that gear imprint on your forehead.
Our washer.
Is it a washer or a washer?
It's a washer.
All right.
You gotta wash your clothes.
How many bolts are in this?
A few.
4? 3?
6 maybe? I don't remember. A little more, a little more. Good. Ready?
Yep.
That was easier. That first one was dang it tight.
That was dang it tight. That was impact gun tight.
2 washers. Ah!
3.
Oh no.
I just got hit in the shoulder.
These, I measured these very specifically. You'll notice we have 1 zinc and 1 not, right? That's why.
Zinc coated or
A little ticker.
a little thicker. How's that?
That's
right
good.
there?
Yeah. Ready?
Yep. Whoa, there goes another washer. Get it, get it, get it.
We don't need it, but official transmission shims. They come with new ones. Might even have come with bolts. I think it did. You gonna get her? Or is it still too tight?
Too tight.
Tell them about your G.I. Joe hand. Bill got permanent G.I. Joe hand.
At the end of my illustrious career in crane manufacturer, I was running a lathe and I had a little issue with polishing a shaft in the lathe, and my glove got caught and it tried to pull my hand into the lathe and twist my thumb off. So I didn't want my thumb ripped out, so I leaned back as hard as I could. Luckily it ripped the glove, but in the meantime my knuckle swelled up, so now I have a hand that looks like G.I. Joe.
This was like 6 months before he retired.
Yeah, it was
after being there like 30
It
years.
was really big and swelled up. So me and him were laughing one day. G.I. Joe can hold his binoculars in his hand, or he can hold his rifle, and my thumb looked just like a big G.I. Joe thumb.
So that's why you can't pull bolts out, because you can't.
I can't move it too good. It snaps and crackles and pops. And I'm just lucky because at the time it hurt.
Oh yeah, but that
And
could have been a lot worse.
I still had the part of the ripped up glove was still in my hand, and I didn't know if I still had a thumb or not because of it hurt so bad.
Good.
And I said a little prayer, God, just let me have my thumb because
Because you didn't look at it yet,
no,
right?
I just had no feeling, and I didn't know if I had a thumb left. And hands aren't much good without a thumb. I know people overcome circumstances, but that wouldn't have been too good.
No.
So thank God I have a thumb.
But it's fun to laugh about now.
Even if it's a G.I. Joe thumb, I still have a thumb.
Somewhere we did lose another washer, but it's fine. I don't actually need it.
Okay.
Okay, all of our converter bolts, flex bolts. Are they
Should
converter
spin.
bolts or are they flex plate bolts?
They hold both. I call them converter bolts.
Seems like a converter bolt to me.
Yep. Actually, flex plate bolts are the ones that go through the flex plate.
Right, that's
into
right.
the crankshaft.
Are they crank bolts?
The crank bolts?
Or is that a crank bolt or a?
I call them converter bolts.
Yeah. All right.
So now the transmission, except for the bolts attaching to the engine, the hydraulics are separated from the engine right now. We unbolt the converter and it'll slide back a little bit.
Yep. So let's grab our helpers to keep it. Oh, we got to drain it first.
Yep.
So we're going to drain the trans and then we'll grab our little stands and put them on there. And
we're going to pop out the drive shaft, cross member bolt. Looks like we're going to get away with not having to move the exhaust at all because on the truck it's wide, you got plenty of room. There's no catalytic converter shields in here to get in our way.
Cadillac converters.
Cadillac converters.
Yeah. We do have to still unplug and move all the wiring and stuff like that. The trans
cooling lines we have to
fluid
unhook.
lines. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that I've zip tied and done. So, all right, let's drain it. Wow, that's really clean.
Yeah, it is clean. Looks good.
This is a great trans. It doesn't slip or anything. I have zero problems with this thing. Knock on wood. Synthetic or?
Synthetic.
Yeah.
No taste or smell.
Nothing.
No burn smell. Really clean.
You want me to put it in a cup for you to drink for dinner?
I'll do a shot. I don't think I'm doing a whole 12-ounce glass.
Yeah. Is it metric?
Use a box? Nope. That's it.
All right, cool.
Oh, did you hear how tight you had that?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. You put the guns to that thing.
Must have.
The Python.
Now, the top ones will come out, the bottom ones will not. We're gonna have to spin the diff in order to get the bottom ones out, because there's just not a lot of room between the drive shaft and the caps.
Pop
No.
this out, let it move.
We got to get those two things and put the front up. Same problem we were just talking about. This messes with us. We got to pick the rear up in order to get the bolt out. This is the problem. Same issue. Because when we go up, it'll give us more room there.
True.
So, pretty sure that's how we did it.
Pivoted. That's why we're cutting the front of the yoke off just a bit.
Try that. Yeah, you'll get it out now.
Now watch, don't lose the cap.
You want me to spin it?
Yeah. Let's try.
So close.
It's a battle. This is a battle.
The battle.
Here, I'm gonna pop this cap.
Yep, I got it.
You got all the burns.
Let me take the other cap.
It's easier if we don't lose the bearings on the ground. There you go.
You got it?
Once you do the caps, I can take it out the side.
All right, let me snap these back on. Okay.
Yep. And then what I like to do is take a piece of
Tape or wire
masking
tie.
tape and wrap around there. And that way these don't come off.
Same way.
Couple rolls of masking tape. And you're sure that this won't come off. All right, Neil's going to grab the yoke as I pop this one out and step on the light. He's going to put the other one in. Ready?
Yep. We got a little bit of fluid out, but nothing terrible
Good
at
deal.
all.
We'll take this and set it out of the way so we don't look like log rollers.
Okay, we got the trans jack. This can go out of the way. I've pulled the trans lines off and they drained into here. I took all the connectors for speed sensors and the trans wiring off. I removed the shift linkage. So all we need to do now is put the trans on the jack, supported. We'll put a little ratchet strap around it because this is missing the chains and whatever else, but I don't like the chains and stuff anyhow that they, so we'll put a little strap, couple straps on an X, crank this thing down to this, and then we'll jack it up a little bit. And I am gonna put, do you wanna grab that jack?
Watch that light.
He keeps kicking the light.
Because I can't see.
And so,
Let me fix the light.
whoops. Straps for the drive shaft. We'll put them back so we don't lose them.
Let me fix the light again so you guys can see.
So we're just going to support the engine here on the pan, because when you pull the trans, the engine's going to, remember the engine mounts are all towards the front, so that weight will transfer back and that thing will want to kick back. We don't have a distributor on this, so it's not going to go into the firewall, and there's about this much room between the back of the block and the firewall.
Yep.
But you don't want to put a lot of stress on those motor mounts,
you want to
number one.
support it.
Number two, getting this thing back in again and back out, we don't want it to droop too much and be on funny angles. So all we're going to do is support it. I'm not going to pick it up. We're just literally going to support it, and then I can actually come back down with it when we do want to put this on, in case it's on an angle that we want to adapt to. The other thing that I'm going to do, I think right now, is cut this ear off of this side, the driver's side of the trans, so that it clears the headers. I already cut the passenger side off because you have to get the headers in, and so that one's cut. This one I didn't cut. The only thing that ear is for is holding the inspection cover for the torque converter and the flex plate. I don't run them. Some people say I'm an idiot for doing that, but
Even if we still did, we could put the 2 bolts up from
yeah,
underneath.
we have plenty. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts still I could put an inspection cover on. I don't put them on there for heat dissipation, number one, and number two, there's like, I'm not mudding, I'm
We
not
don't live
going
in a
through.
snow state anymore. There's
Exactly.
no salt. There's
yeah,
no ice.
it's totally fine. So it's just a lot easier now for me to get to this stuff. I do have the covers for each of the 80Es that I've ever put in, but I just don't put them on. So not a big deal. Anyway, so we'll just cut that ear off right now. While we're here, it's easy. Hit it with the Sawzall blade.
Sure.
It's just aluminum. And then that thing will come right out.
You're cutting. You're getting there.
It was just bound up.
I gotta get the washers out.
I got
of there.
one washer here.
All right, the other one. This should pivot down with any luck.
Yep, and here's another bolt.
All right.
Oh, there's a couple washers.
Set this out of our way.
Washers.
And we'll leave all that stuff thusly. Got the rest of the I think I got all
Yeah.
those, yep.
Good. All right, I'm going to put this around.
Okay.
I'm going to hold that just for a second. And we'll come this way.
Good deal.
I think it'll be all right, yeah?
And yeah, make sure we have enough B cable here to, yeah, we'll just tilt it this way. Drop her down below the cable. It'll be good.
Is that enough room?
Yeah, because we're going to be coming back just a little bit, and then we can twist it, and should be
All
able.
right. We could always take it off if
Yep.
you want.
Let's see, I might be able to just unhook it right here.
Yeah, probably can.
If it's loose enough.
But it might not be though.
We got to twist it.
This one we can get for sure.
All right.
Oh, it's not quite long enough. There, now it's long enough. That's it. That's it. You were my carrier bearing there.
I was. Now, if we had a little bit, if you can drop the trans down just a little, we can catch that one too. If you can drop down about.
No. I got something better. Put
You got
this
it.
on the end.
You got a wobble,
This is a warbler.
warbler. That's all we need, I believe.
Should be fine. Should be
And
fine.
that extra length's going to help us also.
Length. Length. L-E-N-F. Length.
We're close, but we still got to come down.
Need to come down a bit?
Just a little bit.
All right. Well, this either goes all the way down or not down at all. So
Well,
just, here we go. Oh wait, I gotta drop the engine a little bit too, because we
just
want.
a bit. Yep, we want to let everything down just a little. That's fine. That's
Ready?
fine. Yep.
Say when.
All right, hold it. That's good. That should get it out.
You good?
Yep, I think so.
We were joking when I put that thing on there, but
I
it
know,
saved
right?
us.
Should be able to reach up in there and get it somewhere.
Let me put this up here so I don't get this in my hair.
Let's get down a little more with the jack.
Yeah.
Technically, it should separate itself, kind of.
Ready?
Yep, a little bit.
If Bill was doing this, the whole thing would be on the
All right,
ground,
hold it right there.
right?
I'm telling you, it's just sitting on those.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Pins.
It's just on the pins.
Yep. I'm surprised they're that tight. Where'd you get that cool screwdriver?
I'm trying to find a good spot to.
There
it
you
goes.
go.
Oh, it's on the snout, I think, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
On the snoot.
on the snoot.
All right. I got the back of this.
Now it's
We're
on the pin.
passenger pin.
Yep. Stand by.
Beautiful. You got it.
All right. I'm gonna come down, okay?
Yep.
Are we clear on that side of that
Yeah,
ear?
we're looking really good so far. Come on
All right.
down. You got at least
Don't put your hand there.
5 inches.
That scares me. Ready?
Yeah.
I don't want to pinch your hand in there.
You're good.
Like I said, if this were you, it would just be.
All or nothing. All right, hold it right there. Right now, I'm just starting to interfere with the header. What are you hitting on your side?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, we're tucked in pretty good, but I think if you can,
Which way you want me to go?
Can you swing the rear end this way?
I just got to watch the
there now.
O2 sensor there.
I think we might be okay.
All right.
Can you shift it this way?
Yep.
Just spin the.
If you can come down some, I think we're clear on the pipes.
All right,
over
let's
here.
try it.
We look like
Ready?
we're clear. Yep. Come on down a little bit.
You good?
Hold on.
I'm good on this side. We got plenty of room.
Am I touching here?
Yeah, you'll clear that.
Can you see? Okay.
I mean, it'll force its way through there, I believe.
That's fine.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Just say stop if I need to stop. But we're only coming down like real slow. Oh,
think
watch
we're
it.
good.
Watch the O2 sensor
Yep.
over here. Yeah, we're
Yep,
clear,
we're
right?
good. And once we get this wing off this side, it'll go right back up in.
Yeah. Oh, what was that stuck on?
Oh, it's just
this bracket.
Yeah, just touching the bracket a little
All right, that is it.
Technically, it's out.
Not too bad. So you can see here, if we spin this around, you can see here, I cut that ear off. And if we keep coming around, there we go. So this side, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna cut straight through here. This tiny little 1-inch section on this trans was just barely keeping us from getting out with the header. But again, you got to think about drag and drive, right? Mm-hmm. So and just general maintenance, really.
We need to pop it out.
If I'm in the pits and I need to swap my transmission or the converter balloons or something stupid, I need to be able to get this thing out without having to pull 60,000 other pieces off that don't need to come off. With no lift.
Jack stands and a floor jack.
Exactly,
Yep.
exactly. So we're trying to make this simple, not just for drag and drive, but forever. We know this is a really good trans. So I don't think we're going to have problems with it, but we should be prepared anyway. So Bill, let's slide this thing just out of the way for now. The torque converter obviously is going to come off. We've got another one, but
Let's just bring it straight back by the rear.
yep, if we just move it out of the way, we can check the rear seal and
I don't
everything.
think that converter will fall out, but do you want to just take it out now?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Are we going to be able to get? No, we're not going to be able to get this out, right?
Well, we can back it up.
You want to move? You want to move that light?
I was just going to kick it. Keep kicking at it.
I mean, we could just put it all right here. Converter, you can see for those who are totally unfamiliar, 4, 5, 6 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's what bolts onto our flywheel. That's on the truck. And to get this out, you got the trans? Mm-hmm. Well, there's one of the washers. That scared me a little bit. To get this out, all you do is pull straight back. Oh, yeah, about that. There it goes.
Give it a little wiggle, wiggle. You got it. They're heavy.
Yeah.
Got a lot of fluid in it. You good?
Yep. Okay.
A little whirly. Things are moving. And
We got some Earl coming out of the converter, but that's good and expected.
because we took the weight off, this trans wants to move around on the jack, so with this adjuster, I'm going to even up the weight a little bit and bias it more toward the front. And that way I can let go without flipping it off the stand.
He said flipping it off.
Yeah. Whoa. Like that.
This is the 80E, not the 60E. These things are pretty much bulletproof, especially at the power level that we're going. I did put a seal in this before I put it in just 5,000 miles ago, so
Yep.
we're good on both sides, front and rear. This here is your pump, and that's what engages inside the tanks and the
Clutch packs.
clutch packs, and also the converter.
The shafts.
Yep. And then the
Sprags.
front has a good seal, so this thing's fine, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we're good.
Nice and clean. You can see it wasn't leaking. If this was all soaking wet, we'd probably change the seal out again, but it's bone dry inside here.
And this is why we use a strap.
Yep. We can work on it right here.
Yeah,
No
it's
problem.
not going anywhere. A lot of times I'll cross strap them, but I got one strap on there and it felt pretty solid, so I didn't mess with it anymore.
I feel good about it.
I feel great about it. So Bill, let's pull the flywheel, the flex plate off of the back of the engine, and we'll double check the rear seal. We're this far,
Yep,
I'd
yep.
rather
And
just
we can
double check it.
Take a look at the flywheel, make sure there's no cracks. Sometimes flywheels
Oh, yeah.
crack where they bolt around the crankshaft.
Right.
And sometimes they'll even make a ticking noise if they get real bad. So we can take a good visual on that while we have it out.
Just give it a good cleaning too.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's move around.
Give it a wiggle wiggle. It'll come right off.
Why does it look like the crank is moving? Is that just a bushing? I guess it's probably a bushing.
That is.
You see that?
Yeah.
Oh, yep. Oh yeah, it's just a bushing.
Little flange. That's funny. Didn't know.
Probably, I don't remember exactly, and I've never used the 60E, but I think the 60E doesn't have that, and you have to get a different, a special or a different flex plate for 60E.
That's a little spacer to pull this flex plate off the back of the crankshaft.
Seems that way.
Yep.
It also seems that we don't have any oil leaking.
Beautiful. Clean. Under the seal's clean.
A little bit of grime and stuff, but I
It's
mean,
good though. These flex plates will start to crack between the bolts sometimes. And I've seen them where they break all the way around. And a lot of them will click. If you hear a clicking noise and it's not associated with valve train, these flex plates make noise when they start to crack or break because it'll wobble. This one looks good.
you see this?
Nothing wrong. Yep.
It's like
Yeah,
cast to
it's
have a
it's
bolt, but they don't
box
put one
with
in
no
there.
bolt. Yep.
Yeah. Kind of funny, huh?
Yep.
All right, everything's clean. It looks like maybe there's a little bit of wet here.
Man, not even enough for a drop though.
No. And so I think when we were putting the stuff together, I showed you guys there's a special tool that you're supposed to put on there, and you loosen all these bolts and loosen the pan down, and then you put this tool on in order to get the seal in exactly the right place, because with these bolts on the back cover, it could move a little bit one way or another, and the seal might be just a little too high and rub on the bottom, or it might be a little too low and rub on the top, and then you have a little bit of a less seal on the bottom. But we're good. They're
forgiving, but that's squared up nice.
Yeah. Yep. So I feel pretty good about that. I'm going to take a couple quick pictures that I meant to take when I put all this together, and then I went back because I was looking for this casting number here.
Gotcha.
And I didn't have it. So somebody snap that real quick. I can do these 15s. Okay, and then it was 37, I believe, and then 74. Yep. How do they come up with 37 and 74?
Just very specific.
Math. 37. All right, now you're definitely going to pry up on it. Ready? Oh, maybe not actually. How's 37 so close to 15?
This flywheel turner is such a great tool.
Yeah, no kidding.
You need this. If you don't have one, or you're doing anything like this, just go get one.
Yep.
You try to hold something with something you're not supposed to, you end up with your fingers cut off. And
Or instead of getting one, just tell your friend that he can keep all his crap at your house and he'll leave it here and you can just use it.
exactly.
Turned off. What the devil?
I don't know why. Battery getting low.
I don't know what happened. Yeah, it totally reset. All right, let's move over to the table here, do a little cleanup, and we'll put the converter on there and go through what we need to do for that. To be honest with you, I have never owned a new torque converter. Everything I've ever gotten is used, crap, usually stock. The only converter that I've ever put in anything is the Corvette, and that was used. I got that
I had
with
I have
the
a new
car.
one in my Chevy B&M.
Yeah, but it's probably the only one you ever had
Only
new,
one
right?
I ever had. Yeah. Yep.
I never bought one. So what I pulled out of this trans was the factory converter, but we need a much higher stall, and we'll talk about stall here in a second when we get to the table. We're gonna put more power through this. Maybe someday we supercharge this too. I don't know, but we're good with this converter, and it is a good converter.
It's really nice. I've never bought one this nice.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. So let's move over to the table and get it cleaned up and dig into that a little bit. Okay, so here's the converter I got. Comes with stickers and a pen and a koozie, but more importantly, the converter. It's a Circle D. They call it, it's a, if I can find the model number of this one, they don't put it on the box. So this is a 4L80 part number 05D as in David -11-04-2C. It is a 4L80 Pro Series single disc, 245 millimeter, and it is pretty sure that I got a 3400 stall. And so it's a beautiful converter, by the way.
Sure is.
It's really nice. No fluid in it. She's brand and new. But you can see on the back, there's a build date, December of 2023. So they just built this thing. Even my name is even on it, which is pretty cool too. LS dual single. This is a single disc. And so it tells you torque spec on there. Look at that, M10 by 1.5, 50 foot-pounds, kind of cool. Anyway, you see each one of these ears has 2 bolt holes, threaded bolt holes in it. And that's because this converter can actually fit a 60E or an 80E, 4L80 or 4L60 trans. We've got an 80E in the truck, but it works for either one. The reason I got this and not one only meant for the 4L80E was because that one was going to take 4 to 6 weeks to come in. It was exactly the same converter, it just had another set of holes in it. So yeah, of course I opted to do that. It was no more or less expensive, it was the same price, but we needed this for a number of reasons. So there is like a loose and a tight converter, they call them. And in drag racing, you need to have the right converter for your power application. So basically I called up Circle D, and in fact I called up another dude that was recommended through a couple different Facebook pages. He was also in Tampa. Circle D is in Texas, but this guy was in Tampa. I called him, and he was smart. In fact, he was so smart he confused me because I said, first I called BTR and I said, hey, I've got a red hot cam. I've got this pickup, long bed, single cab. Here's what it weighs. Here's the motor I'm using. They knew about what power I'd be making. So they recommended a converter. I think they recommended like an FTI or something. But so I called this other guy who came highly recommended, and he dicked around for like 7 weeks, 8 weeks, and I never got my converter. He's like, you'll have it in 4 weeks when I ordered. I said, that's fine, we got plenty of time. This was in August or September? August. I ordered that converter in August. And a few weeks ago, I realized the converter still isn't here. So I called him up, I'm like, dude, what's up? And he gave me a ton of excuses. He said, you'll go out in the next batch. Well, I made the mistake of not saying, when is that? Because he kind of was like rude to me. Like I was inconveniencing him for calling him after I paid him all that money. And he took the money super quick, but didn't turn around the converter. So anyway, after another 2 weeks of not having a converter, I called him, he didn't answer. I texted him, he didn't respond, so I filed a thing with PayPal. This is why I try to use PayPal as much as I can, because PayPal will get my money back, especially in an instance like that. And so, yeah, I ended up getting my money back. PayPal fought for me. He said, yeah, I'll send your money back. He never did. I had to fight it through PayPal, and eventually I did get my money back. Then I called the tuner who's going to tune the truck for me, and I do need to pull the factory, the tune that I have in it out so he can do that. He said he'll do it today. And I said, hey man, what converter should I use? He builds these things all the time for a living. He said Circle D. I don't use anyone but Circle D. A lot of people say that. People are real happy. They're a great converter company. They stand by their product. It's got a lifetime warranty. Of course, if my trans explodes and throws metal into the converter, that's not their fault. But if the converter balloons, something breaks inside of it, whatever the case may be, they will fix it and replace it. I also now have a brand new, really good billet high-end converter, first one I've ever bought. And if something does fail, or if I want to have it restalled at a higher or a lower stall, if we change directions in the truck, make more power, whatever it is, I could send this back to them and they can just rebuild the inside components and send it back, and I don't have to spend for an entirely different converter. Or I could take this and I could throw it in the blue truck, which I don't really need as high a stall because that's a slightly less cam. But in any case, what is stall? So essentially, the easiest way to measure that or care about it is when you pull up to the line at a drag strip and you 2-foot pedal it, and this is obviously an automatic. So holding the brake with my left foot and giving it gas with my right foot, essentially when it starts to push through the brakes, that's more or less where your stall is located within that converter, right? Typically, like the converter I took out of the truck, that was a factory converter out of a 2001 Silverado, fine. With the stock motor and all that, it was good. I could have upped the stall a little bit and probably, been able to give it a little more at the line and, gotten some better times, but it's like probably, I don't know, 2,500, 2,400 stall. This Corvette has a 2,400 stall in it too, but it's a lot lighter, it's a lot smaller, it's a totally different power setup. I'm running different gears, right? So that's the other thing they asked me, what gear are you running, right? So they wanted to know all these things, and that's how we came up with this number. The higher the stall, the less pleasant it is to drive on the street. That's okay. I think I came up with a really good happy medium here with the stall that I got in this converter. I think we settled on a 32 to 3,400, somewhere in there. And it's not exact. It depends on a lot of different things. It also even depends on your brakes, right? I mean, like if you don't have good brakes or big brakes or undersized brakes, you're going to push through them faster anyway, right? But I am not a torque converter specialist. I have no clue what's happening inside of here, with the exception of there are a bunch of fins and it locks and unlocks and does all kinds of funny things to transfer the power from the crank to the transmission through hydraulics and clutches. Other than that, I don't know what's really happening when you're getting up on stall and all these things. Also, I don't care. There are certain things about cars that I just don't care to learn.
Leave that to the expert.
Yeah, exactly. If I was a trans guy, I would be building transmissions and building converters, but I'm not. So I just go by the recommendations and have a general understanding of what is happening and why we need to have the different things we need. It also did come with hardened bolts and these washers. So you saw when we were pulling the converter and the trans out of the truck, I had 2 washers on every bolt. These are the factory bolts that came with that trans or engine. And these are the ones that hold the converter to the flex plate. And you can barely see, I don't know how easy it is to see for you guys, but each one of these washers per bolt one is slightly thinner than the other. So there's a process you do have to go through, which we'll show you when we get the converter in, where you don't want this thing to be jammed back into the pump all the way in the trans and then load that thing up with shims or washers so that this is jammed all the way in. If this is jammed all the way back against the pump, where does the fluid go? It can't get out of the converter or into the converter or through the pump because you're jammed all the way against that. So Circle D calls for 1/8 of an inch at a maximum between the inside of the trans pump and the face of the converter snout. So we will measure that with a drill bit between the flex plate and the back of the converter. And if we have 1/8 and no more, or no less, hopefully not less, then we're good. If we have 3/16 or more, that's when we start getting into the shims, because you want 1/8 of an inch of play between the converter and that. And then once you bolt that converter up to the flex plate, it gives you that 1/8 between the face and the pump that's inside the transmission. If you're a little bit further away from that flex plate, this thing gets closer to the edge of the pump and you don't have the fluid flow that you need in order for this thing to operate properly. It creates heat, it creates friction, does really bad things, and voids your warranty. So we don't want to do any of that. We're going to put it all on camera, so if something does fail, we have it, we can point to it, we say we did it right, there was a problem. I don't think there's going to be a problem, but I'm really looking forward to getting this in. Once this is done, we can pull the tune out of the truck. In fact, I'm going to pull the tune out of the truck now, send it to him, and then we have to also weld in our bung for our AM wideband sensor, so that we can monitor air, fuel, and all that fun stuff for the tuner to make changes. I tuned this truck to start with, but when we start getting into new cams and different timing and air, fuel, and all this other stuff, what I did in that truck was very basic. There are a few things you can go online and read about and adjust and do what you want to do. But now that we're making more power, and I've just spent all this time and money to put a cam and valve train, and this is a good street truck now. It's really going to be a lot of fun to drive. I want the tune to be right, fresh, clean. The other nice thing is we'll take this thing on the street and make a couple rips, gather logs, send it to him, and then if we're on the track, I can do the same thing, send him logs from a 1/4 mile rip. We want to do all this well before we get to the track for sick week. If we show up at sick week and we make our first run like, no, it's not really running very good, we don't want to be making changes, because we're looking for consistency, right? We're doing dial your own in sick week, and that means you set your own time at the beginning of the week on the first day in Orlando. That first slip we hand in, we need to be as close as possible to that time for the rest of that week, every track we go to. Elevation changes, weather, cooler, warmer, barometric pressure, humidity, all those things come into play, but we want to be dialed as close as we possibly can and not mess with the tune. We're not racing the guy next to us, we're racing ourselves and our own clock and our own time. So all this stuff is why I'm building this the way I'm building it. For consistency, and that's why we want him to get as much data as a tuner as he can well before day one of sick week. So we show up, we know exactly what that truck is going to run. We'll hit Bradenton 1 or 2, maybe even 3 times before sick week, make some hits on the road, things like that, but once it's dialed, it's dialed. I hope to not have to call him and say, hey man, we're having this issue, or hey, can you give us more power at this part of the track? No. Once it's set, it's set. We need to have all that planned. So we'll pull the tune right now. I'll send that to him. He'll know exactly everything I just put in it. I've used him a bunch for different things, and he does a really good job. He knows we're doing sick week. He's agreed to make a bunch of changes for us, as many as we need to get it dialed. His name's Charles Barber. I can't remember the name of his shop. I don't even remember where he is. Somewhere in the northeast, I believe. I'll double check, and I'll put some info for him in the video or in the description below. But yeah, so I'll pull the tune, send it to him, and then as he's doing his magic, we can drop all this back together again. So let's get on it.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, tune. Alrighty. I've pulled the tune, sent it off to Mr. Charles Barber. He owns a company called V8 Muscle, and they're in South Carolina. Not sure exactly what the town was. Doesn't matter. Great guy. He's going to knock that tune out for me. He said after he's done eating dinner tonight, we'll get it in here. Maybe by then we're done. We got to put the rat in. We also, I got another rat. He's bouncing all around. We've been chasing rats for a while.
Upstairs, not in the shop.
In the attic, over the shop. And just today, I put traps up there with cheese. He's still bouncing around. These are big rats, folks. I'm saying, when I was in here with my son yesterday, they like, I guess they play and chase each other around or whatever, and they fall off the the joists and they fall onto the ceiling that I have, and you can hear them, and it's loud. My son thought it was a cat or a raccoon. That's how big these things sound. We already got one today. I'm gonna have to shut the camera down for a second and go up with another shovel and see if we can grab another rat. But before I do, let me tell you, I just realized I don't think that we should actually put the strands in. Right now, I think we should actually weld our...
We need to see where you want it, the angle.
Yeah.
Get all that welding done.
Yeah, so we have to put a wideband sensor in. I do not run 4 O2 sensors on here. I just run the 2 forward sensors. Since this is a race truck, we don't have catalytic converters. So it doesn't even have post catalytic converter O2 sensors. So we need to add about probably here in the exhaust another bung, weld that in, and that'll be for our wideband sensor, which tells us the air fuel ratio. So I think we should probably do that before the trans is in, because otherwise we'll have to pull the exhaust.
We have plenty of room.
It's not a big deal, and I don't know if you can see this or not, but I use these. There we go. These clamps that go on and they bolt down and they actually form and compress, and I use them everywhere. Even for up here, I have a reducer here for the header from the collector, and then I
show them the bolt side too.
Oh yeah,
these things are really neat.
So you can see, you basically they just clamp around, and then you clamp these bolts down, and they just totally seal the exhaust. What I really like about them is that you can take them apart. So if we do have an issue and we need to take exhaust off, they just come apart real easy, and then they go back together. No welding, no cutting.
You can either
they don't leak.
Butt pipe to pipe.
Yeah, pipe to pipe. Amazing. You don't have to have slip fit.
No flares.
They work really well. Awesome. I use them in the Corvette. That's where I actually first found them, because I have an X pipe, and anytime I need to do something with the trans, the drive shaft, whatever, I was always having to take the whole frickin' thing apart from the header all the way back.
Trashing your old clamps.
It was a massive pain. So I found these things and I absolutely love them. They don't leak. They seal up real nice. In any case, even though it's real simple to take this one section of pipe out, I'd rather just weld
plenty of room
right in the truck before we. So let me go grab this dead rat, and then we'll figure out our position for where we want to put that O2 sensor, weld it in, and then put the trans in.
Continue.
Okay, be right back.
Rat Patrol.
We've decided to place our wideband sensor right here. We should get these out of the way before we start welding so we don't catch anything on fire.
That'd probably be a good idea.
And I can't find my big drill, which actually is okay because it's big. So let's see if this one will work. Basically, we're drilling a 7/8 inch hole, and this will go into that hole, and then Bill's going to weld it onto the exhaust. And this thing is determining where we're going to put it based on the angle that's available because of the floor and the trans tunnel. Yeah, I need a little bit more leverage than what I have. Let's get up in here.
All up in its business. Oh yeah. Wow, is that stainless pipe? Did a good job.
Oh, you know what? This it's probably stainless. This is the collector adapter.
That's fine.
It worked pretty good, and the little piece didn't even fall in there.
Stainless could be miserable to drill. That's why I was wondering. That looked like it drilled pretty nice.
Yeah, it went pretty good. It helps that the bit and the saw are brand new.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Never been used. There's our little piece. Let's see how our bung fits in the hole.
The bung should fit very nicely in the hole.
I made a bung hole.
Yes, you did.
All right, that's perfect.
Beauty, mate.
We're just gonna clean that up a little bit. Zip, zip, zip.
Yep.
And then it's ready to be welded.
Beauty. Give it a little fly shot right here. Nice. Give it one around the back. Yep. Yeah. Over this side. Beauty, mate.
We've got everything welded up. In fact, we even attacked a little piece of heat shield. Bill welded that back up. And then we've got our wideband O2 sensor installed exactly close to the same angle as the other O2. So we're good there. I feel great about it. Now, get this line out of the way. Okie doke. So I'm going to grab the converter. We're going to test fit it, make sure it's exactly like it's supposed to be, and move forward.
I did wipe this out. Clean inside here, they say too. And then when we put it in, we're going to actually even put a little bit of, just a tiny bit of grease on there.
She's heavy.
So all we're doing is making sure the nose of the converter fits smoothly into the back of the crank. And they are snug.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Okay.
Snug for sure. Oh, I can't even get it back out now.
Can we get it?
There we go. Actually, you want to bring that ladder over here?
Yep.
I don't have that much.
Oh, I think it's got to go up further.
That's it.
Let's go. There you go. Now you're talking to it. That's a tight fit in there, you know, for no vibration.
Yeah, so it'll go the rest of the way in.
Yep. Nice. Nice.
Yeah, now we got to get it out. Let me try pulling it first.
There you go. Just twist it as you pull. You were coming right out. Keep going. Beautiful.
All right, cool.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that came out fine.
You good?
Yep.
All right. Want me to take it?
Sure.
Or are we going to pop it in?
Yeah, we could pop, well, let me reconfigure a little bit here.
Yep. And I also want to, we're going to pull the red cap off and we're going to lube the snout where it goes into the pump.
Okay, so now that we know it fits correctly in the crank, we know everything is torqued, we've got everything wiped down and cleaned up. We need to put a half quart of trans fluid in the converter. I believe I have the GM specified trans fluid. I hope I do anyway. Worst case, it's still early enough. We can run to O'Reilly's and pick it up. But let me grab that, move some stuff around a little bit here. We got to pour half a quart in, and then it needs to fit on the trans correctly. And there's a little bit of a trick, or you got gotchas, I guess you could say, for putting a converter onto the trans. So we'll review that with you too. So give me a second to collect myself and get the proper fluid, and then all right, we just had to run to the parts store because I didn't have trans fluid. Go figure. That's fine. So I had this stuff already. Yeah, Fram. Actually just learned that this is not made by Fram. It's made by a much larger, very popular oil manufacturer. Anyway, Circle D says to put half a quart in. I have half a quart here. This is Dexron 6. And it does take some time to do that because it's got to bubble down and get in through all the fins. And then I've got the rest we're going to put in is O'Reilly's. Apparently that's made by a company called Warren Performance. Yeah, so I don't know. It's all the same stuff, I'm sure. So half a quart is what it's calling for. We'll fill that. There it goes. That's half a quart right there. and Bill put some of the assembly goo on the snout. That's bubbling down, doing its thing. And we are, once that's completely down in the converter, we're going to snap it on the converter. I said we're going to put the converter on the converter, but I meant we're going to put the converter on the transmission. So I went ahead and cut the other ear off and then filed the edges down. So we're pretty good there. It's going to go right back in again. And so basically I've just gone through the whole thing and I feel like everything is good. Made sure a couple of the bolts and plugs that are on it were still where they should be. Everything is good. Wiped it down. Like Bill said, we don't have leaks, so the seals are good. So moving forward. Now, the next thing we'll do is grab the converter because I'm sure it's done bubbling down now. And we're gonna drop it here onto the tail shaft. O-ring on there. Feels pliable though.
Yes. That's the input shaft.
Yeah, that's what I meant, input shaft. Yep, she is going down. So, basically, this thing it will thump 2 or 3 times as it's going in. I'll have to wiggle it around, turn it, twist it, and eventually you'll hear it go boom, boom. So you can see 2 sets of gears or splines on the input shaft. Those are on the inside the converter too. And you can see, oh golly, this thing's heavy.
Yes, it is.
You can see on here we've got flat sides as well, so it's got to get all lined up correctly. All right, we've got half a quart in there. I'm sure it'll stay in there because half a quart, as I twist this thing over, is all going to fall into one side, but we could still have a little come out. And just looking inside the seal, I can see about how these things need to line up. If I'm lucky here. Oh. Yep, that's in park right now, I believe. Can you turn that?
It's locked. You can hear the park and
Yep.
fall.
So that's how you want it. You want it in park. Otherwise, the shafts will just spin and you'll never get this thing where you need it to be. So we're good. I can see the flat spots like we see on the converter. There's one about here and one just opposite that. So I have to get these flat spots kind of lined up here, and this thing will slide in pretty good. Oh, golly. This is way heavier than that converter we pulled out.
Getting your workout.
All right, here we go. Ready?
Watch your fingers.
All right, so there's one. Oh, I felt a little bit there.
That might have been it.
I don't know. It doesn't.
There's a face back.
Oh, it did actually go in further.
I thought I heard the second click.
Yeah,
The face is behind us.
it is. I'm gonna actually pull that again and just feel it twice, just to be sure. So we're gonna actually turn it a little bit. So here's. Huh. You all right?
Hmm?
Wow, let me pull that back out real quick and just have a peek at it. It ain't happy.
Keep turning. Push back.
No. Let me pull it back out again and have a look at that real quick. Right here. There's one.
There it is.
Yeah, we definitely got to go one more.
That might have been it.
No, that was me pulling it back again.
What I can do is,
There we go. Got it.
say I can tilt that back some. if
That
need
was the
be.
second one.
Okay, I heard it.
Yep. All right. That's it. So you're right.
Yeah, I was just checking.
I did that twice just to be sure we were all the way in, and I feel pretty confident that we are now.
Yep.
Like Bill said, this thing, the face of the converter is much more shallow than the face of the
Yeah, if you
trans,
sight
so-
by eye down the line of your casing and the snout is all the way behind it, you're good, because then remember that's going to pull out a little bit into your
right into the
flex
crank.
brake.
Yep.
So you're good. Now keep
All
it
right,
in
so we very carefully now need to turn this thing around.
there. Here's what I'm gonna do. Let me give it a little tilt.
Yeah, because now there's a lot more weight on the front.
Yeah, and that'll also help keep the converter sticking in there.
That should be pretty
Yep,
good.
that's about where it was.
All right, so you got the converter?
Yep.
We're gonna spin this guy around. Watch out for this wire. All our other wires are clear except for this one, but even that's fine. Tuck it out of the way.
Yeah, he's good.
You got the converter?
Yep.
All right.
That should go in easier than it came out because, let's turn this.
Does that fit underneath of there?
We had the other.
No, it doesn't.
No, we had the other ear cut off this time, so.
So we're basically just gonna go up. We may need to move this thing out of the way. How did we get this thing?
We could probably just turn the base so this goes into the
Right.
center here. So you want to hold the trans, and I'll turn the
How's that?
jack a little bit. That's good.
That'll at least get us up there, and then we can
Yep.
move it around. All right, you ready? Mm-hmm. Valve is closed.
Nice and slow.
Here we go.
Excuse me.
You all right?
Come your way just a bit. Right there. Yep.
Not the fastest process with this jack, but man, it's a lot easier than laying on your back.
Yeah, and you don't want to be fast anyway. Just one pump at a time. That way you can make sure everything's clear and nothing's getting caught, hung up.
Let's bring this back this way a little bit.
Beautiful.
There we go. All right, so there's two dowel pins, steel dowel pins that stick out of the, look at that thing.
That's fancy.
The dowel pins stick out of the back of the block, and they line up with two holes for the dowel pins on the transmission. That's how you know you're exactly where you need to be. You get those dowels in and started, then you can drive your bolts from the bell housing into the back of the motor, and you can rock and roll from there.
Let me move over just a little bit.
So we've got everything where it needs to be. Right now the converter is all the way into the pump. And remember, we talked about this on the bench. When the converter is all the way in the pump, you are blocking the flow from and to and from the converter and the transmission and the pump, right? So right now, a very, very limited or no fluid would go between the converter and the transmission as it were pumping. So we need to make up for that. And Circle D wants 1/8 clearance between the nose of the pump, the nose of the converter and the pump, so that fluid can flow. So call it like about there, right? That's about 1/8. But we need to be precise. They want no more than 3/16. And so we're gonna get right on 1/8 because that's what they're calling for. So we're gonna push that thing all the way back against the pump. And then I'm gonna take this 1/4 inch Allen key. You can use a drill bit if you want, like they suggest, but we're gonna use an Allen key here. And basically, this thing all the way against the pump, this is a 1/4 inch. That's exactly the clearance we have between the the torque converter and the flex plate, right? No more, no less. So that is, I mean, dead
Spot
on.
on.
Yeah,
1/4 inch.
exactly a 1/4 inch, right? So if you take a 1/4 inch and you subtract an 1/8 inch, which they want us to have between the converter snout and the trans pump inside, that's 1/8.
Yep.
2 1/8 makes a 1/4, which is what fits in here, okay? So we now know that we need to use 2 of the thin washers or shims that they have supplied in the kit. And basically, the way I determined that was to take my caliper and we throw, it's all zeroed out, and we throw 2 washers in, and the caliper reads 1/8. Okay, so every single one of these 6 ears on the converter will line up with the flex plate, and we'll put 2 shims equaling 1/8 to take out 1/8 of the 1/4-inch slack that we had in the transmission.
That will pull the converter up toward the front of the engine, the 1/8 inch that we need to get between the pump and the snout of the converter.
Right, now remember, just because we can move the converter in and out now doesn't mean it's going to move in and out once we get this all bolted up. You do not want this to move, but you do need that 1/8 of an inch between the pump inside and the snout of the converter. So that's what we're going to have by adding these 2 shims and jamming the converter against the flywheel, flex plate. Sorry, it's getting late, I'm getting tired. So basically, we grab, what do I do with that bolt? Oh, sorry.
It wasn't it.
Yeah. We'll grab another one here. It's around somewhere. So
Still
anyhow,
whistling Christmas song.
so we'll grab this and drive it through the back of the converter. The flex plate, and then get that through to the hole, threaded hole in the converter. And then as we pull this back, it will hit that, and we'll have exactly the clearance we need. So
Yep.
It's really not hard. You just got to think through it a little bit. There are a number of ways you can do that, but we think that this is the best and most accurate way.
I think so.
You can use drill bits. They're very precise. We like using an Allen key like we did. You just find the Allen key that fits in there the best. For us, it was 1/4. You could have 3/16. You could have 1 inch. I don't know. It all depends on, I guess, your converter and your flex plate or your flywheel and all that fun stuff. So.
You just need to make sure that your ring gear isn't out past the flat right here.
Yeah, that would
Because
be
your
a problem.
measurement is from here.
Yeah.
This one just happens to be totally flush
Right.
with that.
Yep. And probably for that reason,
Yep.
I would imagine.
Yep, and I think they're all that way, but I would want to just take a look and make sure that the ring gear's not sticking out past. That'll
Yep.
give you a false reading.
Alrighty, so we're just gonna go through now, and I'm gonna have to actually find more washers equaling an 1/8 inch because they don't give us enough actually for this application, but they're just washers. So,
Yeah, probably a standard washer's close to a 16.
yeah, probably. And some are thick and some are
Standard
thin.
flat. Yep, you got to
know,
check each one.
and
Make
look-
sure your washer packs are measuring with your dial calipers. It's easy to do.
And if you look at what I took off, this is what came out of the factory converter. I did exactly the same thing we're doing here right now. And I had these washers. I'll bet you that equates to an 1/8.
It's very close.
Pretty sure that I
Very close.
measured that before. So we'll throw a caliper on. We may already have the washers we need
Yeah.
from what we took off.
Yep. I'd snug them by hand. I'd say if you're within, I'd like to see them all within 10 thousandths, and that's not going to affect anything.
All right, we've got 6 sets of 1/8 thick shims ready to go. We've got 1 bolt in and 2 shims, so that's 1 of 6. So Bill's gonna turn this for me, and I will install the remaining 5.
You got that bolt in just finger tight, right?
Yeah, it's just finger tight. That's a snap-on, Tina Turner. You're getting way too fancy here, buddy.
I've had this thing for 40 years.
Hold on.
Close?
That's because you're old.
Yeah.
If I had something for 40 years, it definitely wouldn't be a tool. All right, next one, if you want a spinner around. All right, we've got everything Loctited now, all 6. Pulled them out, spun them around. Now I'm going to torque this. 44 foot-pounds is what is called for. Got the wrench set to 44. Bill's going to hold that. You know what? Actually, I need to draw that back before I torque it because this torque wrench is pretty big
Yeah.
and there's not a lot of room. So
Snug them back with ratchet.
Yep. And the wrench turned off because I put it down for too long. 44 foot-pounds. And torque alive.
You're turning that way, so I'm holding this way.
Yep. Ready?
Yep.
I need to put a very small, I don't really have one. This ear for the motor is just right in a bad spot. Can you go up, actually?
Yeah, do you have a short socket? Would it help? Make it worse.
No, it'd make it worse.
Okay. Say when.
Stop. That's much better.
Ready?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Let's make sure we got that.
Yep.
Yep, 44. Oh, wait. You can go to the next one, but I'm pretty sure they said 50 pounds. Yeah, 50 pounds. All right, we'll do 2 passes.
Okay.
44 and then 50 because M10 by 1.5, 50 foot-pounds.
Sounds good.
I forgot that converter is not this factory converter, and that torque spec probably calls for the factory converter.
Gotcha.
A little more. Good. I'm glad I thought of that now, though.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, it's only 6 pounds, but we're gonna do it
We're gonna
right.
give it to it.
That is how you install a torque converter. Not difficult, but you do need to take your time, pay attention, think through things, and make sure you're doing it 100% right, especially when you spend the money that it takes to get a decent converter. You want to make sure your warranty is good and right. And quite frankly, I think everyone should videotape, should record videotape.
That you're doing the
We're
correct.
not using videotape.
No, that's what I would say because I'm
Heck.
old.
And I work in the broadcast industry. Anyway, doesn't matter. I lost my train of thought. Oh,
Say
I think
goodnight to
everyone.
Tina.
I think that everyone
Tina.
should record what they're doing, right? Because
Yeah, why not?
now I have this, and if there is a problem, I can
Sure.
send the Circle D or whoever right to the video and say, look, I did this
Here's what
exactly
we did.
like
Well, maybe
this,
you see
right?
something I did wrong. Let me know. Let me know what happened.
Yep. All right, so we still have 2 bolts on the top. One I use as a ground. The other one also is holding on the other one's just the top center bolt. So those will do, I think, tomorrow at this point.
We can. Let's get the bottom.
Yeah, I would
button
like to
up.
get the drive shaft back in tonight. We have to cut the drive shaft. I'd like to get that in.
We got to put the starter back in.
We got to put the starter back in. That won't take long. Gotta
Linkage or wiring?
do all the wiring. Do our transcooler lines. Yep, get the linkage in, which I probably can do right here, right now. Wow, maybe if it wants to cooperate.
We have to move it up top.
Yeah, maybe. Oh. Trans linkage, shift linkage engaged, so we're good there. The grommet's still all in there. So I'm just gonna go through and connect all the wires back up. We'll get the drive shaft in. I'm just gonna put the camera over there. I'm just gonna record.
Watch us
Bill and I
play.
are just gonna do it. We'll probably do a time lapse of just throwing this thing back together. But man, killer! Thank you so much.
Put our shield up.
Yeah, I'm gonna find a shield.
Yep,
We'll
cool.
throw a shield on there.
Since we're going out on the
wanna
street with it, we'll
protect that
converter
investment
a little bit.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, listen, if we get the bottom wrapped up tomorrow morning, I can come out here, throw those couple bolts in. My valve covers, I think, came today. I don't know where they are, but probably at the end of my driveway where UPS might have left them. No, the UPS guy is great. They're probably on the front porch. Yeah, I mean, other than that, we should be driving tomorrow.
Easy.
Logging, driving. I got some wiring for the wideband sensor that has to be done, but it's like pretty minor stuff at this point. So there is no reason we shouldn't be doing burnouts tomorrow and sending logs and stuff, getting the tune updated by Charles. And
For sure.
yeah. All right, so like I say, I'm going to move you guys back there. We're going to take our microphones off and we're just going to knock this thing out. And then tomorrow morning, I'll do a quick recap and finish up. And then we'll go for a rip. Man, I got a lot of video to edit for this. I'm not really looking forward to that either. Anyway,
Good night, Tina.
Good night, Tina.
Watch the light,
You stepped on that light about 15 times today.
at least.
Real quick, end of the night. I got all this wiring up here, hard to see, but there we go. I got all the wiring tied up real nice. I have a heat shield on the trans wiring, so it keeps it away from the exhaust. We did opt to put the trans cover on. It's the right thing to do, so we did it. I've got just two O2 sensors over here from the passenger side, the wideband and the narrowband. Up in the front, I went through and tied the main power cable that goes with the starter in. The starter is installed, wired, good to go. Everything is perfect under here. I'm really, really happy. What we still do have to do is go through and swap out our trans lines with the new stuff when that comes in, but that won't be, I think, till Friday, and I definitely want to drive this before Friday. Drive shaft is in, exhaust is solid. Yeah, I feel good about everything. We did not actually cut the yoke down for the drive shaft. Just don't, I didn't feel very comfortable with the blade that I had, so we're gonna just leave it. We know what we need to do to get it in and out. If we have to, we'll put it on jack stands and get it out. So yeah, I think that's it for tonight. I'm pretty tired. Bill's pretty tired. I got to drive him back to his house, and we're gonna just tackle the rest of this tomorrow. So stay tuned. We'll wrap it up and go for a drive tomorrow. But thanks for watching. We're making really, really good progress, and we'll wrap her up tomorrow, and except for a little odds and ends. But other than that, we'll be driving tomorrow. I'm pretty excited. Have a good night.